What is up, guys? Orbital-Pilot back here once again, taking in the skies in Warthunder. This time taking out the premium FW-190 in the American lineup. Now this is actually a plane I have not touched in an extremely long time. And we're talking possibly over 2 years. Because actually this was recorded after the ships had gone on beta for a while, and I had totally forgotten that on my other account I have a couple premium planes I don't have on my main one. So of course I went over and I recorded some footage, and this was actually one of the main planes I wanted to do. Now it's painted pretty much, I mean, red hot, you know, fire engine, you know, race car red, and it is probably one of my most favorite painted planes in the game. It's bright, it's attention grabbing, which I guess is bad for battle, but I have a lot of fun just looking at it while I fly it around. But that's not really what you're here for. The FW-190 in the American lineup, I wouldn't say buy this plane personally. I used to be so good at this plane. And like I said, then I didn't fly it for 2.5 years. So, of course, this is like my second game out. I'm not too good. There are 2 games in this actual video, so keep that in mind. But it is a lot of fun to fly around, and it has so many guns. You have 4 cannons and 2, I think the 13mm machine guns. If not, they're the slightly smaller ones. But still, who cares about the machine guns when you have 4 20mm cannons? And they're not messing around. These things have tons of ammunition. You can fire for a long time. It dives incredibly well, as we can see here. A German on my tail. I'm simply going to extend the dive. This thing, you pretty much can't rip your wings off. Of course, you can with any plane, but you really have to try with this plane. Now, of course, diving down does suck. When that's your only way to fight off an enemy, it's really annoying. Because it does put you at a major disadvantage. It does pull up well though, so go back up for the 109, try to put some shots in. That's a kill that if I had been flying this plane for the past couple weeks and months instead of the first time being out, that would have been a kill. You can see that the energy retention on this plane is fairly decent. I did zoom back up after wasting a ton of that dive energy, back up to 2,000 meters, and I'm still flying over 250 miles an hour, which is quite impressive for this type of very heavy plane. Now that brings us to maneuverability. Maneuverability is, of course, it's just a Focke-Wulf. It's not great, although you can, and I say can, you can technically win in a dogfight against some things like a Spitfire if you do it correctly. And when I say you do it correctly, you have to do it down to the wire pretty much correctly. The only advantage over literally almost any other plane you have in a Focke-Wulf in terms of dogfighting is that you have the roll rate of like a god. This is like god tier level roll rate. I don't know what the Germans did, but this thing rolls like no other. Of course, it's a Focke-Wulf. And in doing that, you can actually do some fairly tricky things, especially if it's not a incredibly well balanced and experienced pilot in something like a Spitfire or a P-51 or something, you know, anything that you're fighting. I don't know why you would. This is a P-50. I mean, this is on the American team, so I don't know why you would be doing that. Of course, so you're fighting the Germans and stuff, but you can actually beat someone that turns better, at least in terms of elevator-wise, with roll rate if you're good enough. Now try to put some shots out. As you can see, these cannons really tend to reach out and touch people. So getting shots off long range isn't too hard. I do have convergence set to 800 meters, and that's simply because it makes it the easiest for me. With 4 cannons lined up across the wings, one of them's going to connect most of the time in terms of convergence. So I tend to really stretch out and go a full 800 meters because I feel like it gives me the best area of hitting people. Now this plane, of course, because it's a Focke-Wulf and it's German, it is fairly tanky. You can actually take quite a bit of hits before actually getting, having enough damage to warrant going back to the base. Now, of course, it is a Focke-Wulf. I've always noticed that their engines do get hurt quite easily. It's a very large area in front of the plane not a whole lot of armor. So I have noticed that especially the stuff like the intercooler, stuff like that tends to go down fairly quickly, which is annoying because, as you guys know, I'm a big engine guy. I like my planes having strong, protected engines. I feel like in a lot of ways it's the most important part of the plane. So when it's not well protected, it is quite annoying. So, as you can see, a bunch of people are by their base. Let's go ahead and actually switch to a little bit later part in the battle. This is just a couple minutes later when I have chased down that Doe 17 or 217. So, diving down, now of course, like I said, you are armed with 4 20mm cannons, which means not only do you have the roll rate of like a god, but you also have the firepower of one. Try to go for some good shots. I do get a crit in right there. I don't know what I critted. Sometimes I wish we had the old crit system back in where it kind of highlighted it across your screen. I do sometimes miss that, and I kind of wish it was a feature or in the settings options that you can go and actually change. So I know he does have a turret. I'm not too worried about it. Like I said, you do have to be careful. That engine is fairly exposed. You do tend to get quite a bit of bullet holes through it if you're not careful. So Doe 217 goes into the vertical. Not the wisest decision. I miss all my shots, of course, because this is my second battle out. Luckily enough, though, I do put him down. Now, as you can see, my right wing is quite damaged, but it doesn't actually affect the way I fly too badly, which is shocking. So what you're about to see here is, I actually wanted to put this in the video because I wanted to talk about fuel. Now, of course, most of the time, I have my fuel set to the lowest setting. So, of course, I'm going to take out pretty much as little as possible, because a lot of times Warthunder matches don't last that long. And, of course, it's less weight, you climb better, you're slightly faster. This is a good reason, and a really good reason why I'm actually considering taking the medium fuel load out. Of course, I'll never take out the full one. That's just too much. But the medium one is what I think I'm going to start going with, because this had the possibility of being an incredible battle, but I was majorly hindered by the amount of fuel I have. As we can see here, I have slightly more than 2 minutes. Now you may say, oh, it's fine, you know, you have 2 minutes, go back to the base. Here's the thing though, I did not even look at my fuel, which is of course my mistake. I should have gone back to base. I'm also flying the wrong way. So I'm deep in enemy territory with 1 minute and 56 seconds of fuel, and there's 2 enemies. And I believe they're fairly decent enemies at that. So, fairly decent experienced pilots. I'm not going to say amazing or bad. I don't know but from what I saw, fairly experienced. So, flying back to base, and I see that there's no way I'm going to outrun a 109, who has altitude on me, and who's probably a little bit lighter than me. I don't know if he's fully upgraded or not, so I'm just going to go straight into the battle. Now, I try to pitch up. Of course, you may ask why I would do that. Well, in a situation like this, I'm kind of doing dumb things. This was dumb, but the problem is if I don't get a shot on him right away, make him do something, if I simply fly straight, I'm going to give him all the advantages. So right now, I'm hopefully knocking him a little off balance. You probably didn't expect me to do that too much, and of course I'm just going to go into immediate circles. Now I'm going to nosedive a little bit in an effort to gain speed, because like I said, my maneuverability is not terrible in terms of speed, but it's also not great. So I'm going to finish out this dogfight, but before that I did want to say, if you guys liked the video, hit that like and subscribe button. We've been doing amazing so far, and yeah, just if you have something to tell me, of course, just let me know in the comments down below. But for right now, just watch me utterly fail as I somehow maneuver well enough to dodge all these 109 bullets, but not well enough to keep my engine running with 1 second of fuel. So guys, if you like what you saw, like I said, hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.